and 6 were put there by citizens' initiative. Therefore, we have a financial impact statement. The financial impact statement for both of these amendments reads, the fiscal impact cannot be determined precisely. State government and state courts may incur additional costs if litigation increases beyond the number or complexity of cases which would have occurred in the amendment's absence. And that is the financial impact statement. So again, this was put there by citizens' initiative. Representing the yes side of this argument is Miss Mary Blackwell. Mary is the president of the League of Women Voters of Okaloosa County. And you can see by the slide that she's done a lot of other great things too. And so with no further commentary, I'm going to turn it over to Mary.
Thank you all for coming, and thank you to the Tea Party for getting people so interested in the election. I think we're on track to break all the records for a off-year election, and I think that's really fabulous. However, Henry, I'm never coming to speak here again if I have to go after a preacher. I think that was pretty mean. And let me just start out, it's another, we can't estimate the financial impact because there could be litigation. Well, let me tell you something. I'm going to guarantee you that there will be litigation. And you can put it down that, you know, I know these things because I'm psychic. And the reason I know this is because redistricting always gets litigated. It was litigated in '92 when the Democrats last did it. It was litigated in '02. It was challenged in court. And I guess it's always possible that there could be more litigation, but even the Supreme Court said that was speculative. So I'm going to speculate that it really is going to happen because it always has and it pretty much always will. However, we have some very compact timelines. The Supreme Court has to rule within 30 days and stuff like that, so it's going to be pretty fast. I'm not sure that it's only speculation to say that there's going to be a lot more. So that's what I wanted to say for starters. Okay, he just read you the amendment, so you know what it's about. Just to give you a little background, redistricting, every 10 years the legislature redraws the districts according to the census. The census is now ongoing. They just had it. Now they're doing all their number crunching. And the legislature draws the new districts, and our present system allows them to draw the districts for their own political advantage because there aren't any standards really in the Constitution. This is called gerrymandering. Now, Florida is one of 45 states where the state legislature controls redistricting. And in those states, whoever controls the legislature pretty much controls the outcome. In Florida, when the Democrats were in charge in the last century, and well, that was only 10 years ago, but in the last century, they drew boundaries to favor themselves and to diminish Republicans' chances of a takeover as much as they could. And it worked for decades. In fact, it worked right up to the mid-60s when major challenges to Florida's apportionment succeeded and subsequently resulted in breaking the Democratic stranglehold on our state legislature. Since the Republicans took over the Senate in '92 and the House in '96, they were able to control redistricting in 2001, much to their advantage. But you can hardly blame them after so many decades of Democratic rule still. The purpose of the Fair Districts Amendments is to take politics out of redistricting process and produce a more representative and responsive government for all Floridians. Currently, the only restrictions on redistricting in the state are that all the districts must be contiguous, more on that later, and the map must follow federal law and the Voting Rights Acts. If the Fair Districts initiatives pass, they'll leave control of redistricting in the legislature's hands, but they'll impose restrictions on how the lines can be drawn. And as Paul pointed out, this is two amendments for one, they're identical. I believe 5 is for legislative districts and 6 is for congressional districts. Otherwise, they're totally identical. Redistricting, I mentioned it when the legislature gets to do it to their own advantage, that's called gerrymandering. In politics, that means rearrangement of the voting districts to favor the party in power, and the objective is to create as many districts as possible in areas of known support and concentrate the opposition strength in as few districts as possible. And that's what we've seen all along. As a result, you get illogically shaped districts. Voters don't share common needs and objectives often. Voters are less likely to connect with their elected officials. Voters have fewer choices and competitive races. You know, in American capitalism, competition is the lifeblood of American capitalism, but not so when it comes to redistricting. Both parties' incumbents are to blame, and frequently you get less voter participation. Maybe Paul can bear me out on this, when a result is preordained. People just really aren't interested, don't think their vote counts. So why we need standards? We need districts that are equal in population, and that's actually mandated by the federal government. We need a standard that says they're not going to be drawn with the intent of favoring or disfavoring incumbents or political parties. We want them to be compact and contiguous, and I'll give you more on that. And we would like, where feasible, and remember it always says where feasible, use existing political and geographic boundaries. It's not always feasible, and there's flexibility allows for that. We would also, these amendments provide for preserving the opportunity for minority voters, and that's part of the Voting Rights Act, so that's a requirement. Why do we need standards? Because they reduce temptation. You know, I own a business, and so you want to reduce temptation. I don't leave petty cash out on the counter. Just don't do it. I don't leave checks out on my desk when I go to lunch. When people are handling cash, there's two people. I protect both of these people and the company. In sports, you have standards for good sportsmanship. If you are flagrantly foul somebody, you get ejected from the game. The coach can always ask for a view of the play. You watch instant replay. Rules determine what's fair and foul ball, so there isn't a lot of fighting. And if you have a pickup football game with no rules, I guarantee you're going to have some fights on the field. When you have rules, it's much more likely to be a fun and friendly game. So competition is key here. Now he talked about the amendments, and he gave you the summary, the ballot summary. I want to talk about specifically what the amendment says. It adds a new section, I want to say 21, but don't quote me, to Article 3. And the first has two subsections. Subsection 1 takes precedence. It has three parts to it. It says districts and redistricting plans may not be drawn to favor or disfavor an incumbent or political party. That's number 1. Number 2, districts may not be drawn to deny racial or language minorities the equal opportunity to participate in the political process and elect representatives of their choice. This is stronger language than currently exists in either federal or state constitutions and requirements. And third, districts must consist of contiguous territory. More on that in a minute. Subsection 2 has 3 parts as well, but these standards apply unless they conflict either with federal law or subsection 1, so there's flexibility built in. Districts must be as nearly equal in population as practical, and there's some flexibility there. Unless otherwise required, districts must be compact, and that will eventually prevent us from having districts that stretch from coast to coast along down on the peninsula. Where feasible, districts must make use of existing city, county, and geographic boundaries. So if Amendment 5 and 6 are approved by 60% of the voters, then the redistricting process is going to become less politicized, and that's a good thing for Florida voters. To give you some, I wanted to answer a couple of the questions that are most frequently asked. I already talked about the litigation. Will it lead to expensive litigation? There's going to be litigation. There always is. However, common sense dictates that there should be less litigation if there's standards to follow. Just like if you have the rules in football and baseball, you're going to have less fighting on the field. So, but I'm speculating. Just like the Supreme Court said that claims that the amendments will lead to more litigation is speculative, I'm speculating that when people have rules and follow the rules, things are going to be more peaceable, just because that's what common sense says. So I'm thinking that the same principle will apply in redistricting. Are the standards too complicated to be applied? That's another thing we often hear. No, the redistricting standards are commonly applied all over the country right now. And the states that apply them manage to get their maps drawn pretty okay. In fact, experienced Florida senators first suggested these very same standards after the '92 redistricting. There are 12 other states that have the same combination of standards that are being proposed, and dozens of states have many of the same standards and apply them without problems. So those are some of the commonly raised questions. Now, why is gerrymandering bad? People lose faith in the system. They don't believe their vote counts.